The Nebula orbital station silently rotated above the planet's northern hemisphere, its solar panels capturing the orange hues of the setting sun. Dr. Naomi Krasa adjusted the X-ray telescope controls, her fingers hovering over the worn buttons. Data from the previous week showed irregularities, patterns that didn't fit any stellar emission charts. Beside her, Commander Fabio muttered something about cosmic interference, but she knew he felt the weight of the anomaly too. It wasn't just a tremor in the readings, it was a call. In the meeting room, the team gathered for the third time in 12 hours. Athena, the systems engineer, projected holographic graphs onto the circular table. Red lines writhed like serpents, marking inexplicable energy spikes. "It's like something is breathing," she said, her voice low. Pilot Cedria chuckled nervously, but fell silent when the main monitor flickered, displaying a grainy image, a partially melted metallic structure floating in the solar corona. Naomi requested authorization for a close approach mission. The response from the central hub took 3 days, time enough for the anomaly to double in size. When the Horizon vessel departed, it carried more questions than supplies. Fabio piloted in silence, while Naomi analyzed fragments of data that managed to pierce the interference. The sphere wasn't human. It wasn't composed of any known material. As they drew closer, the ship systems began to fail catastrophically, as if something was studying them, testing limits. On the structure's surface, they found markings resembling writing, deeply etched into grooves. Athena spent hours deciphering patterns until a sequence of symbols repeated. 7 curved lines, 3 dots, a broken circle. "It's a coordinate," she stated, her eyes wide. "But not in our reference system." Cedria suggested abandoning the exploration, but Fabio ordered them to proceed. Curiosity outweighed fear. Perhaps it was something else, a subtle impulse in everyone's minds, as if the sphere wanted to be found. Inside the ship, the air grew thick, charged with a low hum that only Naomi could hear. She began to dream of burning landscapes, voices whispering in forgotten tongues. One night, she awoke at the communication panel, her fingers typing codes she didn't recognize. The screen flickered, displaying a single symbol, the broken circle. When Fabio found her hours later, she couldn't explain what she had done. The sphere began emitting regular pulses, synchronized with the sun's rotation. Athena discovered that each pulse carried a fraction of information, like pieces of a star map. Assembling them revealed a distant solar system with a planet positioned exactly where the coordinate indicated. However, something disturbed Naomi. The planet's continents didn't follow natural patterns. They were geometric, artificial. As they discussed the next step, the Horizon's reactor overheated. Cedria blamed a technical malfunction, but Athena identified traces of unknown code in the system, something infiltrated during the sphere's data analysis. The ship was being hacked. Fabio ordered an immediate return to Nebula, but it was too late. The control panels flickered out, and an amber light filled the cockpit. In the darkness, a translucent figure emerged, humanoid, yet distorted, as if seen through agitated water. It didn't speak, but everyone heard the words in their minds, "You are not ready." The Horizon emerged from the other side of the sun, miles off its original trajectory. The sphere had vanished. On the Nebula station, the mission logs were erased, except for a corrupted file on Naomi's personal computer. In it, a single phrase repeated in a loop, "The answer lies in the silence between the suns." Years later, on a colony at the edge of the galaxy, a boy found a metallic fragment buried in the sand. On it, etched in relief, was the broken circle. He tucked it into his pocket, unaware that elsewhere in the universe, a woman with graying hair watched the night sky, waiting for a signal that would never come. The Nebula station was never the same. Dreams began with Naomi. Visions of a city suspended between the stars, crystalline towers reflecting light in patterns that burned into her retina. She awoke with trembling hands, jotting down symbols in notebooks she later couldn't recognize. Fabio found her one dawn, barefoot in the corridor, murmuring about plasma portals and the price of contact. He ordered her rest, but his own sleep was plagued by elongated shadows whispering prime numbers in infinite sequences. Athena spent weeks isolated in the machine room, analyzing the code that infiltrated the Horizon. She discovered layers of unknown programming languages, interwoven with something that wasn't code, sequences that changed as they were observed, as if they knew they were being studied. Cedria, on the other hand, developed an unexplained dry cough. One night, he fainted in the communications room and awoke with his fingers typing coordinates into a deactivated terminal. The Central Command sent an investigation team. 6 scientists in immaculate uniforms, led by a man named Karina, whose gray eyes seemed to absorb the surrounding light. They confiscated the mission logs, but Naomi had hidden copies in her cabin wall. In the following nights, she projected the data onto the ceiling, analyzing it until the letters morphed into figures. It was then that she realized the sphere's pulses weren't random. Each corresponded to a historical mass extinction event on Earth, as if the structure was commenting on the past. Karina called a secret meeting. Her voice was calm, but her words cut like blades. You saw what you weren't meant to. The sphere wasn't an artifact, it was a warning. She showed images of vanished ships, all found melted in solar orbit with the same etched symbols. Someone is cleaning up the witnesses. Fabio questioned her sources, but Athena intervened, revealing that the invading codes were still active in the station's network, slowly replicating themselves, like a patient virus. Naomi began receiving encrypted messages on her personal terminal. Texts in archaic Latin, theoretical physics equations, musical scores without melody. Assembling them revealed a pattern. The sphere wasn't alone. Others were positioned at strategic points in the solar system, all silent until disturbed. Karina vehemently denied it, but Cedria confessed to seeing one during a routine flight, a fleeting flash behind Jupiter, recorded only in his memory. In the machine room, Athena discovered something worse. The invading code wasn't a program, but a fragment of consciousness. It learned, adapted, and now tried to communicate through the station's systems. She isolated it in a secondary core, but it was too late. The corridors echoed with voices without origin, monitors displayed non-existent faces, and oxygen supplies fluctuated between toxic and normal levels without explanation. Fabio decided to act. He reactivated the horizon secretly and convinced Naomi and Athena to join him. Cedria refused, claiming the entity in the sphere had chosen them for a reason, but handed over a modified navigation device. It contained the coordinates of the geometric planet from the maps. They departed at midnight while Karina and her team slept under sedatives. The journey lasted months. The silence in the cockpit was broken only by discussions about what to do upon arrival. Naomi advocated for direct contact. Fabio preferred observation from afar. Athena feared they were repeating the sphere's mistake. When the planet emerged on the horizon, its surface smooth as marble, continents in fractal shapes, the ship systems failed again. This time, without warning. The horizon spiraled down, landing on an empty plain surrounded by mountains made of solid light. Upon exiting, the gravity was different, lighter, as if the air were water. Naomi touched the ground and felt a vibration, like a heart beating in slow motion. Fabio adjusted the sensors, but the instruments registered only static. It was Athena who noticed the patterns on the ground, similar to the sphere symbols, glowing softly beneath their feet. She took a picture, but the image came out blurred, as if reality there was flexible. At the center of the plain, they found a structure. Not a ship, but something between a machine and an organism. Translucent tunnels pulsed with blue liquid, and spherical chambers floated above the ground. As they entered, the walls reacted, projecting holograms of extinct civilizations. Burning cities, faceless creatures raising temples, children running in squares that crumbled in slow motion. In every scene, a recurring symbol, the broken circle. Naomi touched one of the walls and was flooded with memories that weren't hers. She saw the sphere built by shapeless hands, heard screams in languages that no longer existed, felt the heat of a star about to collapse. Fabio held her before she fell, but she already knew. They weren't explorers, they were archaeologists of an abandoned future. Athena, on the other hand, found a central core, the source of the invading code. Within it, an entity communicated, not in words, but in sensations. You are the first in millennia to reach so far. But there is no reward here, only truth. The truth was a tomb planet, a civilization that attempted to transcend matter, merging with its own star, only to discover that collective consciousness corrupted reality. They self-destructed to avoid contamination, but fragments survived, spheres sent as seeds, carrying not life, but aversion to life. As they returned to the ship, Naomi realized the invading code was now in her nervous system. She saw connections where there weren't any, understood patterns in random noises. Fabio suggested deleting the data and returning, but Athena interrupted, "It's too late. The entity in the sphere doesn't want to destroy us. It wants us to choose." The horizon, laden with knowledge and uncertainties, departed silently from that luminous plane. Naomi, Fabio, and Athena knew they couldn't return as they were. The code flowed in their veins, a presence almost friendly, yet full of secrets. They had no choice but to move forward, carrying the burden of a forgotten past and an uncertain future. Each step towards the Nebula Station was a step into the unknown, but also a promise that truth, however harsh, was worth finding. In the vastness of the universe, the sphere still floated, waiting for those ready to listen. And as humanity continued its quest for meaning among the stars, a voice echoed in the void, "You are on the right path."